Hey, good morning everyone. Welcome back to Corey's Whitetail Woods. Decided to get into the woods this morning. This is the first hunt by myself. I did youth hunt weekend with the boys. Didn't have any success there, but it's about 50 degrees this morning. It's my annual birthday hunt, so I love getting into the woods on my birthday. And this morning I'm using the Wicked Ridge Rampage 360 crossbow. So I've never got a deer with that. I just want to give it a try to get at least one. I normally bring my compound to this spot. Got a nice buck here last year. But I'm going to go ahead and bring the Rampage in and see if I can get one with that. My two boys got one with it last year. I'll link those videos to the end of this one. So we'll see you up in the tree. I am so disappointed about that. Either one or two things happened. Either this crossbow got jostled around the last time I took it out and the sight is off, or I possibly anticipated the shot and lifted my head and didn't follow through. Because I think, I'm not 100% positive, but I think I may have shot over that deer. But I'm just shocked because, I mean, she was at 22 yards and I didn't even hit her. I'm glad I didn't get a bad shot. That would have been worse. But I really would have liked to take a deer home for my birthday present. That's what every year, if my wife asks me what I want for my birthday, I always just say I want to be in the woods. I want to go hunting. So my birthday's actually not till Thursday, but this is Tuesday. It worked out better today, so it was a perfect morning. The deer, so you may have seen the footage right before I took a shot at that deer. You saw a smaller deer go by. That was a doe and a fawn, I guess a yearling. It didn't have any spots. It was pretty big. Same with the other two, but they just, she walked by me so quietly, and I was expecting the deer to come from the other direction, so I wasn't paying attention. I didn't even hear them. They literally didn't make a sound. I just happened to see the fawn as it was coming out, and I had taken my safety off, thought about taking a shot at the fawn, but it ran to its mom. So anyway, trying to put some meat in the freezer, all out of venison, so I might hang out a little longer, and you never know. Sometimes they walk through here late, so we'll see. Good morning. I am back out here. I never filmed yesterday the other day when I got down from the tree. I really pulled the shot. Moral of the story, I got overconfident and was not practicing the day before like I normally do before a hunt. So I'm going to throw that in there. No matter how good you are with a bow or even a crossbow with a scope on it, 22 yards, I missed that shot. Never get overconfident. Just keep the practicing up, because sometimes you just forget little things like aim small, miss small. You anticipate the shot. That's what I did. I just kind of like squinted, maybe blinked a little bit, and just
as I squeezed. Probably had my eyes closed, so not a good idea when you're taking a shot to close your eyes. But anyway, I'm gonna just throw that little plug in there, and I'm gonna get back out there with the crossbow to the same exact tree, because you know I saw some good deer when I was out there. So hopefully I'll have the same action this morning, and this time I'll put a good shot on one.
I decided to give this grapple hook a try. I dropped the crank to my crossbow, got caught on my clothes, and fell out straight down there. So I'm going to see if this thing works. I've had it for a few years. Haven't had a chance to use it. You just hook it to a paracord and lower it down. Alright, I just fished around down there for a while with it and took off the caps to make it sharper, and still had no success. I'm not going to write it off yet. I'll review it at some point, but I think it's just, my rope is just barely long enough, and that crank handle is something that's pretty hard to grab because it lays flat on the ground. So, and there's a bunch of sticks and pine needles down there, which is probably always going to be the case. But anyway, time to get down. Well, about the only thing that happened to me on that hunt was I got rained on, and a deer was blowing at me early, just before first light. It was just carrying on. So it came from, so the 4 deer that I got on video the last time, they came from a completely different direction. So I was planning my wind going in the other direction, and that's the direction this other deer came from. So it probably got within about 30 yards of me and then just started blowing. So we will see what happens the next time. So far, no dice this season. Been on 5 hunts, including youth hunt weekend, so a little disappointing. I really wish I would have capitalized on that last hunt when I had an opportunity to possibly bag 2 doe. Just like I said, lesson learned. Got to get those practice shots in and be paying attention in the woods. All right, well, I'll see you the next time. I'm out. Well, good morning, guys. Finally going to that public land spot. It's a little windier out here on the water than I thought it was going to be. So I'm kind of fighting some waves in my little canoe. So I've already discovered if I can keep the boat pointed in the right direction, we're good, because it has gotten turned around on me a couple times because of the wind, and it's extremely hard to turn back. Here we go. So like I said, going out to this secluded public land spot. Got here, this is probably the earliest I've ever gotten up to go hunting. I got here at about 3 a.m. Started getting the boat ready, but everything always takes longer than you think. My goal is to be settled up in the tree with my setup, with my saddle and everything at like 5 a.m. So as long as I can get to my spot by 4, should be able to do that. I'm gonna have to turn on X in a minute here. But as I said in a previous video, there are some fields above this spot, and they are now long CRP. So that's a good thing, because it's going to hopefully prevent or inhibit other hunters from coming in there to this spot that's more easily accessible by boat. So I'm going to use Onyx to get in there, and going off of John Eberhardt's advice, I'm going to mark it with pins when I leave with tacks, reflective tacks, because the only thing right now that I have is my pin marked. It's only about 60 yards off of the shore, maybe 80, so I should be able to find it just fine, even without the reflective tacks, but it's really thick in there. So when you're creating a tracking route on Onyx, one thing you have to keep in mind is you can get off course about 20 feet and it's not going to change that on your Onyx. So if you're going through a really thick underbrush, briars, you really want to have it marked if you're going in the dark. All right, well, see you over at the shore. Well, I could not make it up the river. I kept getting blown back by 15-mile-an-hour gusts. So I decided to turn around, bring the canoe back to my house, and I came out to my uncle's place to hunt. So this was plan B. Excuse me. At least I had enough time to get out here and do that. So we'll see you up in the tree. Well, guys, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of footage from this hunt. I got in here late, so I didn't have a chance to mount the camera up, and it was starting to break daylight, and I didn't want to take a chance of spooking anything. So I did a little filming with my phone. I saw 3 deer off to the west, and off to the east, blocking. And they cut my trail, so they got spooked and they went off the other way before I had a chance at anything. And then I had another one come just right over behind some brush in a clearing, 16 yards away from me, and I missed the shot. So, you know, I'm using a crossbow and I'm practicing just fine with it. But man, when a deer comes in, I just get so overly excited. I think I'm just really rushing the shots, and there's absolutely no excuse missing a deer at 16 yards with a crossbow with a scope. It's pretty sad, but again, I'm doing fine with the practice shots, 35 yards, no problem. But then when I see a deer, I just get, I just got to calm myself down. I got to really take my time with the shot, because I think what I'm doing, even though this crossbow has got no recoil, I'm kind of like tensing up and just yanking the trigger and completely missing the shot. So again, I'm glad I didn't wound the deer, but it's really getting discouraging, because this is the second shot I've missed with that crossbow. The only reason I'm not hunting with my compound right now is because I went to shoot it the other day, and it wasn't right. Like, I'm having to aim real low to get it where I want it, so I need to sight that thing back in again. So lesson learned, be shooting all summer. Just be up on your shooting, and that way, if you have any problems with your bow, you'll know or your gun or whatever you're using. So I should have been prepared. I was hunting out of the saddle. It would have been, I think I probably would have been better off with the compound, to be honest with you, because when you have the thing in your hand and you're squeezing it, it just, you don't have to anticipate it, because you know exactly what to expect. But I guess I'm just not used to shooting this crossbow. So anyway, thanks a lot, everyone, for watching, and I'm going to continue this one, because I'm going to try to get a deer with the crossbow, so I'll let you know when I do.
Well, before I continue this journey of trying to get my first deer with the crossbow, I just want to give you an update on what's been going on with it. But I want to also read the scripture of the day and give a quick shout out. The scripture of the day is from Matthew 10:16. Behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore be as wise as serpents and harmless as doves. I've always liked that one. Real wisdom there from Jesus. I want to give a shout out to Norcar Whitetails. I really like his channel. Not sure his first name, but just a real guy who makes mistakes. And I recently watched one where unfortunately he lost a 8-point buck that he had shot. So, but it's a good video and a lot of good lessons to be learned just by watching that channel. So I want to give a shout out to Norcar Whitetails. I'm going to put a link in the description, so check him out, give him some support. Okay, with the crossbow, first off, I just want to say, you know, you guys have been watching this video and seeing that I've missed a couple of deer with it, and you know, you may wonder why I keep using it instead of just going back to my compound. Some of you may understand this, but as a hunter, when you have a weapon that's you get for the purpose of hunting, whether it be for you or for your kids. In this case, I did get the crossbow for my kids, and 2 of my boys got a deer with it. But at the same time, I just, you know, I'd like to conquer the weapon and be determined to get a deer with it. I don't want to just give up just because I've had some issues with it. But I want to tell you about the issues I have had with it. So the other morning when I tried to go out on the boat, and then I ended up going to my uncle's place, I shot at a deer over there and I missed. Well, I didn't tell you that I found out that the scope was loose. So that day I came back from hunting and I realized that the scope was wiggling around. This is right after I missed the deer at his house. So I was obviously upset about missing the deer, but I also made me feel a little bit better that it was not just me, it was the scope was loose. And I learned my lesson. I did not previously have a case. When I first bought this crossbow, I had a soft case, and I was real back and forth on whether I wanted a soft case or a hard case. I didn't want to spend the money on a hard case, so I got a soft case, but then I returned it before the return period was up, and I've just been hanging the bow in the closet and bringing it with me. But after trying to go out to that public land spot, to that secluded buck bedding area, and not making it with the boat because the wind was just too strong and it was turning the canoe around. It wasn't wise of me to not listen to the experienced fisherman that was there at 3 o'clock in the morning throwing his casting net into the water. He was probably close to 70 years old, and he said, "Little windy for that, isn't it?" And I said, I'll be fine. I got my trolling motor, I got my lights, and you know, I had my life jacket on, of course. But in about 45 minutes I came back and he said, that was a short trip. So, you know, he had the last word on that one, and I got the award for being young and dumb. But anyway, my crossbow was sitting in the bottom of the canoe. I didn't plan on it being that rough. I thought the wind was only about 5 miles an hour, but there was wind gusts of about 15. So there was waves out there, and the front of the canoe was bouncing up and down. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that my crossbow was sitting in the bottom of the canoe getting jarred all around. So I would just encourage you, lesson of the day, get a case, check your scope, and you know, just make sure that the broadheads you're shooting are shooting straight. And that's the thing I'm going to talk about in a minute. So this is a cool case. I like this. It's Plano. It's about $100 cheaper than the Wicked Ridge case, and the inside dimensions were perfect. I was able to easily fit this in there with the scope. I love how it's got a big thick pad here and a thick pad here. They're the same, but this one folds in here. The crossbow nuzzles right down in here, and then it came with 4 straps. They're different lengths, so you just have to figure out which strap is best for what location. But I put 1 strap in the back, 1 in the front, and I'm able to cinch this down nice and snug. And then now I feel better whenever I'm traveling or I'm going out in the boat. My crossbow is not going to be getting jarred all around in my scope. So I'm actually real glad I didn't make it to that public land area, because that would have been a lot of hassle and trouble for nothing. If I had seen a buck or any kind of a deer that I tried to shoot, probably would have missed it, because this was wiggling around. It was pretty loose.
That brings me to the next thing I want to talk about. When I first started hunting, I shot fixed blade broadheads on my compound bow. And then, you know, as time went by, I experimented and tried some mechanicals. And I've really enjoyed the Knapp Spitfires. I normally just get a regular Knapp Spitfire. This one is actually a little bit of a larger diameter. I believe it's like 1.75 inches. I don't want to tell you mistakenly, so let me pull out my measuring tape. Yeah, it is. It's 1.75 inches. The other ones that I had were like 1.5 inches. So I mean, check that out. See how big that is. However, I had not shot this particular one out of my compound this season. I was only shooting it out of the crossbow, and I missed 2 deer with the crossbow, and I was like, something's got to be wrong, because the second one I missed at my uncle's place, that was only 16 yards. So I was like, there's got to be another problem. So I sacrificed one of my broadheads, started shooting it at a target, and every time I took a shot with it, it was flying off to the side by like a foot and a half, and that's plenty enough to miss a deer depending on which end of the deer it's going to. So I decided, and I don't know what's happening with these. I don't know if they're opening. I think maybe what's happening is because this bow shoots 360 feet per second, maybe this broadhead is opening up when it leaves the bow, and that would definitely mess you up because that's a pretty big plane to catch air. So I decided to switch back to a Muzzy 100, which is the original broadhead that I shot. This is a 100 grain broadhead. It's vented, and this is 1 3/16 inches. And you might be like, well, I mean, this one's way better. Yeah, it may draw more blood, but if it's not shooting accurate out of the crossbow, I mean, this is going to do the job just fine if you have a well-placed shot. And I have more confidence as far as this being able to go through like a scapula or something like the shoulder blade, especially with the power of this crossbow, than something like this. So anyway, I just want to mention all that, mention the case, and just sacrifice one of the broadheads, shoot at a target with it, or shoot at the ground if you don't want to shoot at a target, tear your target up, but shoot at something. I actually practice shooting at water bottles with this. So I'm going to continue this journey, and hopefully the next time I go out, I'm planning on going out tomorrow to a spot where I almost always see deer. So I'm really hoping I can bring one down with this crossbow, and then I can hang it up and get my compound back out. All right, we'll see you in the woods. Well, that was awesome. It sounded to me like he crashed. I thought I heard a body hit the ground. So just like a couple minutes before that, I heard grunting, and a nice sized doe ran right under my tree, and then a really nice 8-point buck, heavy rack, was chasing her, and I didn't even have time to turn the camera on. So I just pulled out my grunt call, and I started grunting, with the thought of trying to get that buck to come back over. I was using the flex stone. I did a review on that and a couple other grunt calls, so that's, you know, proof that they work. I grunted in like literally, I don't know, 30 seconds later, 45 seconds later, that buck came in. He looked like maybe like a wide 4 or 6. I really don't care what he was, because this is a meat hunt. So I can't shoot another buck today if I want to reload my crossbow. I can only shoot a doe. So because in this county where I am, we have earn a buck, which means I have to shoot, I might have to shoot 2 doe before I shoot the second buck. So anyway, we'll see what happens, but I'm going to go ahead and reload the crossbow. And if a doe comes in, I might be able to double up. All right, it's been over an hour, little over an hour since I shot that buck, so I see my arrow down there on the ground, and I'm excited to go down and take a look at it and follow the blood trail, so stay tuned. All right, down from the tree, I was hunting in that tree right over there, weird looking thing, and I shot the buck right here. He was standing right on the other side of this little piece of wood. Here's the arrow. Ripped off one of my fletchings. Alright, well, definitely got some kind of meat. Hopefully it was angled down enough to get a double lung shot. So put my arrow back. I got my crossbow loaded just in case. Alright, so it kicked off here, went this way. Right now I'm just trying to find where the leaves are ruffled, because I haven't seen any blood yet. Alright, I found my first blood here. This is about, I don't know, I'd say about 25 yards after the shot. Coming in this direction. He might have turned right here. Okay, got off track for a second, but back on the trail. Looks like he hit a main trail here. Oh good, he sprayed on this tree. Yes. Well man, I didn't have a great blood trail. I was getting a little worried. And then I just looked up in this water, and there he is right there. I knew I heard him hit the ground. Awesome. So excited. Thank you, Jesus. He's not a big buck, but I really don't care, because this, I mean, he's got a big body, but he doesn't have big antlers, but I really don't care, because this is a meat hunt. So there's the, let's see, which way was he turning? This should be the entrance hole. Yeah, nice. Broadhead. The Muzzy 100 did its job. Looks like that's where it came out. So yeah, definitely double lung, might even got heart in there. All right, well, I'm gonna drag him to a place where I can gut him, get some pictures, and haul him to the truck. I was blown away this morning that only being October 19th, the bucks were already chasing and responding to grunt calls. I wish I would have got that one on video that ran right under my tree. The nice, good sized buck. I mean, he was probably about this wide, but taller and much thicker. So, but man, I'm just glad that I pulled out the grunt call and tried to call him back in, because then this guy came in. And like I said, I mean, this is a meat hunt. I'm just trying to put some meat in the freezer. And restore my venison supply from last year. So anyway, get out in the woods, persevere. If you have problems, you miss shots, it happens to all of us, but just keep going at it until you get something done. And thanks a lot, everyone, for joining me, and we'll see you the next time. Oh my gosh, there's nothing better than medium rare backstrap on the grill. So good.